Alright, question 11. Come and set up an experiment as shown below. So you have a drop of wax, a rod, and a candle. So what she did was to repeat the experiment with 3 different metal rods of similar length and thickness, and she recorded the time taken for the wax to melt in the table below. So here you have the type of rod. So all these are metals, and we know that metals are good conductor of heat. Alright? So they say the aluminum took 3 minutes to melt, the copper took 1 minute for the wax to melt, and the iron rod took 7 minutes before the wax melted. Okay? So what can she conclude from the experiment? So let's look at the sentences. Iron is the best conductor of heat. Okay, for it to be the best conductor of heat, it means that it allows heat to pass through it easily. So if the heat can pass through it easily, it means that it will take the least amount of time for the metal or for the wax to melt. So over here, there's actually copper that allows the wax to melt the fastest. Okay, so in fact, copper is the best heat conductor in this, based on this table. Alright, so copper is the best heat conductor, while iron is the not so good one because it took 7 minutes before the wax melted. Okay, so A, it's wrong because iron is not the best conductor of heat. Although it is a metal, it is a good conductor of heat. But in this case, when you're comparing it with these 3, iron is definitely not the best among these 3. So copper being the poorest conductor of heat is wrong as well. Aluminum conducts heat better than iron. Yes, because it takes a shorter time compared to iron. So this is correct. Let's highlight this. Okay, and copper conducts heat better than aluminum, which is true because copper took a shorter time compared to aluminum. So D is also correct. So therefore the correct answer should be C and D, which is number 4. Let's move on to the next question. Alright, question 12. Li-Ming wants to separate 2 glasses X and Y which is stuck together. What can Li-Ming do to separate the 2 glasses? So you want to make sure that they are separated. So in order to do that, this glass Y has to become bigger. Alright, and glass X has to become smaller. Okay, so in order for Y to become bigger, we will have to heat it. Okay, so this one must be heated. I'm going to add in here. Okay, and this one has to be smaller, so it means that we have to cool it down. So we got to cool it. Alright, so let's look at the statements. A, pour hot water into glass X. So if we pour hot water into glass X, what is going to happen is glass X is going to expand, right? So this is wrong. But if we pour cold water into glass X, which is what we said here, we have to cool it down so that it becomes smaller. So B is actually a correct statement. C, place glass Y in hot water, which is correct because we have to make it bigger. In order to make it bigger, to expand, we need to heat it. Okay, so therefore C is the correct answer. Let's look at D. D is to place Y in cold water. No, that's wrong. Because if you put it in cold water, it's going to become smaller because it contracts. So the correct answer should be only B and C, which is number 3. Let's move on to question 13. Which of the following groups are example of matter? So just to take note, matter is anything that has mass and occupies space. Okay, so matter must have mass and occupy space. Okay, so occupy space means it has, just in case you do not remember, it means it has volume. So matter must have mass and it must have volume, meaning it occupies space. Okay, so let's look at number 1, dust. Dust is a solid particle. It has mass, although it's too small for us to see, and it also occupies space. So dust is a metal. Air we have already learned it in school. it is also a matter, and oil, liquid, is also a matter. So actually, this already obviously tells us that 1 is the answer. Okay, but let's identify the non-matters in the other options. So in number 2, light is a non-matter. So I'm going to highlight it in a different color. So the green one means it is non-matter. Okay. And in this case, number 3 here, shadow is the non-matter. And last of all, here, music. Music is sound, and sound is the non-matter as well. So the correct answer should be number 1. Let's look at question 14. Jack classified the following matter into 2 groups, A and B, as shown in the classification table below. So A, you have silk, ice, and clay. B, you have honey, ink, and milk. So we're trying to see which one should we correctly classify it so that they can join the correct place. So let's think of what silk, ice, and clay have in common. Silk, ice, and clay are actually solids. So actually group A are made of solids. So I'm going to shift this to the top and show that group A are actually solids. And group E, honey, ink, and milk are actually liquids. Okay? Alright, so which of the following pairs is correctly classified in the above classification? So A has to be solid and B has to be liquid. Okay, so A, flour. Flour is actually a solid, just as the solid particles is very small. Okay, but we do consider A as solid, so this is correct. And B, orange juice is a liquid. So actually, very simply, the correct answer should be number 1. So let's look at the rest to see which is the wrong answer. So same thing, I'm going to use green to show that it is the wrong classification. Alright, so green shows that it is wrongly classified. So pencil is a solid, but sugar, like flour, is also a solid because it has very fine particles, but it is actually, one particle is actually a solid. One piece of sugar is actually a solid. Okay, wood is a solid, and so is sand, which is similar to sugar. Okay, and box is a solid, but B for here, water vapor, this is actually a gas. Alright, so this is also wrongly classified. Alright, and this one, sand and sugar are both solids. So the correct answer should be actually number 1. Let's look at question 15. Which of the following statements about matter are true? So all matter has mass. Yes, this is true. In order to be a matter, it must have mass. All matter occupies space. Yes, in order for it to be a matter, it has to occupy space. All matter can be compressed. No, this statement is wrong because only matter in the gas state can be compressed. So your solid and liquids cannot be compressed. Okay, and all matter has a definite volume. This is also a wrong statement because only solids and liquids have a definite volume. Okay, so the correct answer should only be A and B, which is number 1 as well.